Sometimes it's more fascinating to wonder what something could have been. What that means in the context of this video? Comic book proposals that never got picked up. The most famous example of this that immediately comes to mind is Alan Moore's Twilight of the Superheroes proposal, which was never made due to the souring of the relationship between Moore and DC. My personal favorite proposal that was never made was a sequel to the James Robinson and Paul Smith miniseries The Golden Age, appropriately called The Silver Age, which would have had Howard Chaykin take over art duties from Paul Smith. But we did get JLA Year 1 and The New Frontier later down the line, so my particular itch in that area got scratched. Instead, I want to talk about a script pitched by artist Alex Ross that's actually kind of timely when I'm making this video, believe it or not. Let's talk about Alex Ross's Batboy Proposal. Okay, we need to clarify some things and provide some backstory before we get to the main stuff. See, one of the most well-known things about Alex Ross, besides his painted art style, is his love for the Silver Age of DC Comics. The exact part of the Silver Age can be tracked down based on a few factors. Namely the fact that if given a choice, he will not draw the character Firestorm, who was the last superhero to join the Justice League during its satellite era. Or he won't draw Dick Grayson as Nightwing. Another thing worth mentioning is that Ross himself was a fan of the Silver Age story featuring the sons of Superman and Batman, who had the apt for the Silver Age monikers Superman Jr. and Batman Jr. Talk about living in your parents' shadow. To quote the man, Batboy was an ambitious send-up of the imaginary stories about the super sons of Batman and Superman. Now, the idea of Superman and Batman having sons doesn't really seem that noteworthy anymore, considering the existence of Damian Wayne and John Kent in mainstream continuity. Hell, even before that, we had John Byrne's poorly aged Superman and Batman Generations. And the third issue of Grant Morrison's The Multiversity, which established a world where Superman and Batman's sons inherited their father's roles. Well, that should be enough setup. So, what was the draft pitched by Alex Ross to DC? So Batboy was a reinvention of the character of Midge Merrill, who was a circus performer who lost his partners to a mob and becomes a vigilante who uses baseball bats to capture the criminals responsible. Okay, that's not the real pitch. I just found out about him when I was researching Batboy and wanted to share this with everyone. Comic books, I tell ya. No, the real pitch was something along the lines of a world where most of the then current generation of heroes had retired, with their sidekicks and children taking on the roles they used to inhabit. Alex Ross had really thought this through as well and had fleshed out a world to a really good extent. To quote the man again, the world of Batboy would have included the maturation to Superwoman and Batwoman for Kara and Barbara, an older Joker with his daughter, other grown JLA children with Aquaman's son, Arthur Jr., revived from the dead in my idealistic future, and Flash's kids, the Tornado Twins, early college tutelage by Harvey Dent, cured of his Two-Face persona, for young Master Wayne, the retired and loving it assembly of the older Justice League, the new Justice League in the form of the adult Teen Titans, a baby sister of Helena Wayne, the one still active original Leaguer, Green Lantern, and the Flying Batmobile. While the world itself may have been interesting to explore, there would also need to be a plot to justify a 2 to 3 issue Prestige mini that Ross had proposed. Well, here's the twist that makes this comic timely. Kinda, sorta, if you squint in a certain direction. In the story, Batboy, real name Bruce Wayne Jr., because, of course, would pick up a feeling that his world was too perfect, and throughout the comic, realized that this world was actually the creation of Hal Jordan, aka Green Lantern. Sorry, I meant Parallax. Yes, Alex Ross's Batboy Proposal was actually going to be a stealth sequel to the event Comic Zero Hour, which is currently, as of this video, celebrating its 30th anniversary and even got a new special one-shot as a form of celebration, which I will take as a happy middle ground between the current higher-ups at DC either ignoring it entirely or creating a massive event to celebrate it. There isn't any actual information about this that has been made public, as far as I know, so I can't really say. Maybe too many years had passed since Zero Hour. This pitch was made around the same time Alex Ross pitched the maxi series Justice, which was ultimately made in 2005, while Zero Hour was all the way back in 1994. Maybe they just liked Justice more and chose it over Batboy. Maybe they wanted a title that Alex Ross would paint, as he wasn't doing so on Batboy. Although considering the pencil work and inking of the few publicly available pages, I doubt that was the reason. Maybe they didn't want to do a book that would show Hal Jordan in a bad light, as the man had recently been redeemed by Jeff Johns and brought back as Green Lantern. Although here I have to say, given Ross's fondness for the Silver Age and his portrayal of Hal in Justice, I don't think he would have been too badly portrayed. Though maybe DC just didn't want anyone to go, see, Parallax is Hal, not some space bug that Sinestro infected him with. Whatever the reason, Batboy didn't happen. We do see glimpses of what that would have been like, with stuff like Dick Grayson never becoming Nightwing and remaining Robin, and Aquaman's deceased son who was killed by Black Manta in mainstream continuity being brought back, which is something that Ross clearly feels strongly about, considering that there was a subplot about Aquaman saving his son from Manta in Justice as well. While the art is stunning, the designs are a hit or miss for me. Dick Grayson with a goatee is a choice. While I do like Donna Troy's Wonder Woman outfit, which got a homage in the Zero Hour Anniversary special. Speaking of homages to Batboy, the issue of Multiversity I mentioned had a similar concept, with the previous generation of heroes having saved the Earth so that those following in their legacy can just chill out and party. Which is Grant Morrison probably complaining about celebrity culture, reality TV, and how these young people need to stay off their phones and do something worthwhile. Yes, I'm pretty sure that's not the only read of the comic, but it's funny to think about. So that was the Batboy Proposal. Do you think it would have been a cool story, or is it better off as a concept never realized? Do you like the connection to Zero Hour? And most importantly, what are your thoughts on Dick Grayson's goatee? And since I've started rambling, it's time to end the video. Thanks for watching.